Coming up, we are going to review Ladylike, a retro modern burlesque playing at the Virgin Hotel over on Paradise Road. As always, I'll give you my thoughts on the show, going to show you the seating chart, talk about the prices and how to go about getting tickets. Let's get right into it. I'm Mike the Vegas Guy. Thank you for joining me once again as I attempt to rate and review every show playing in Las Vegas. Ladylike is a burlesque show playing at the 24 Oxford venue inside the Virgin Hotel. It plays Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays only at 9 p.m. It is titled a Retro Modern Burlesque. You might be wondering, what does that mean? I was wondering that myself when I went to go see it. It's called retro because the costumes and theming are set in the late 50s, early 60s. Takes a lighthearted, tongue-in-cheek look at the gender roles of that time. But it's also referred to as a modern burlesque because the style of the show is otherwise not a traditional burlesque show. It is more in line with the topless revues that we see in this town, though this show is not fully topless. However, the format of the show, it does follow the more current trend of the topless revues that are more dance revues and less of a traditional striptease style of show. If you watch my channel enough, you know one of my biggest pet peeves is the misuse of the word burlesque in this town. There's a big difference between traditional burlesque, a striptease type of show like the Dita Von Teese show, and the topless revues that are all over this town, very unique to Vegas. And then there are shows like this one that kind of fall somewhere in between. This is a very unique show. Like many of those styles of shows, it does feature an MC, a singer, a host of the show. Local Vegas entertainer Marin Wade serves in that role in this show. She's also one of the producers. She has an incredible singing voice. She's very talented, and she really holds the show together. Before I get carried away, let's look at the seating chart. Let's talk about the reason I assume you watch my videos, the nitty-gritty of getting the tickets. I will say this is one of my biggest complaints about the show. It is not the show itself, but this room. This is a bar. This venue was designed for live music. This is basically one big open space. You'll see some tickets that are labeled as elevated seats. That little row of seats to the left-hand side of your screen, those are elevated up on a platform. There's one row of just like high-top counter seats, and then there are some high-top tables of 4 behind them. Everything else you see on the main floor in front of the stage are all on one level. It's all just an open, like, dance floor because this venue is normally not meant for a theatrical show with people sitting down. It's meant to be a standing room only rock venue. And just as you see here on this diagram, the room is wider than it is deep. So a great many of the seats are facing inward from the sides, not facing the stage directly head on. You'll see that the tables down front, $118.50. That is the full cost, including all taxes and fees from their main website. The strange/annoying thing about this show, any of the tables, if you want to sit at a table, and that includes the 4 top tabletops in that elevated section as well, you are only allowed to purchase them in pairs. You have to buy 2 together. So if you have an odd number of people in your party, you're going to have trouble purchasing tickets into those tables. I'll tell you right now, if you do have an odd number, I would recommend that straight row of countertop seats in the elevated section. That's going to be your best bet. It's going to be your best view of the show, honestly. The elevated seats go for $96.05 after taxes. Every seat is reserved here. This is one room where I wish that they didn't reserve the seats. With the shape of this theater, the views that are offered, I think it would really benefit the audience as well as the showroom staff and the actors on stage if this were a general admission maitre d' style seating venue. Frankly, I'm a little surprised they do it that way, but it seems to work for them. The show seems to be doing well, so I'm not gonna argue, but I do have a problem, especially this is my background. Front of house, in theater seating. This bothers me. I don't love the seating. I don't love the views. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about that runway that you see there. This is my biggest problem with the room. They've directed this show with this runway involved, And a lot of things happen on the runway. There are a few numbers that happen on that little platform in the center of the room. And if you've purchased the most expensive tickets, those tables, especially let's say you got front row, all that action is happening behind you. You have to turn around. You're only getting a weird side rear view of it. It's strange. I do know that this show did not originate in this space. This show originated at a theater that no longer exists on the Strip, so I won't mention it. But that theater space was a lot larger, and it featured a lot more seats head-on center in front of the stage, in front of that platform. And it just seems like when they moved the show to this venue, they didn't redesign the show for a different audience. So that's the main thing you need to be aware of when you're thinking about going to see this show. The views of what's going on stage are going to be very drastically different depending on where you sit, and I don't think anywhere has a really spectacular view of the show. The best view of the show would be dead center where that entrance is, where that front door is. If you could walk in that front door and put a chair there, where there aren't any chairs on this diagram, that would be the best place to sit. But the bartenders get to sit there. So again, it's not anyone's fault. None of my complaints have anything to do with the show itself. The show is fun. It's sexy. It's certainly more approachable and not too risque, being a not topless show. So perhaps if you're with a group of friends or even family, dare I say, and you want to go see some kind of adult-themed show, you don't want to see anything too risque, this is certainly a great option. Now you might be saying to yourself, Mike, you didn't talk about discounts yet. You skipped to your review and you didn't talk about the discounts. There are no discounts. I've looked. The system I'm always bragging about in my tutorial, the discounts, how to find them, how to do your own homework, I did the homework. At least as of right now, when I'm filming this, August of 2024, I could not find any discount deals on any of those third-party brokers that I usually tell you to look at. In fact, some of those third-party brokers end up charging you a few dollars more than if you went directly through their website. Because, of course, those brokers charge their own fees, and they, like I always say, they try and wiggle around and make it come out to about the same price with the fees included. But this show does not seem to be offering deals. And that factors into my review a bit. This show, the people who created this show, directed this show, are definitely theater people, and they've done a very ambitious show. The show is too ambitious for this space that it's in. And obviously, like I said, it didn't originate here. It originated on a bigger stage. And it's kind of obvious when you see the show. You'll see that there's scenery that they have trouble moving. Scenery they probably wouldn't have included if it was designed to be in this room on this type of stage. This stage was designed for a band and not much else. This show has props, costume changes, moving pieces of scenery, and they have to lift them up onto the stage in the back wings. Depending on where you sit, you have a good view of the crew members lifting this scenery onto the platform during certain scene changes. The room that this show is in does a disservice to the show itself. So that having been said, it's very difficult for me to tell you that this show is worth the high-end prices they are charging for it. Let's just be frank here. The best seat in the house, the mid-range price in my opinion, $96.05. Those are strip prices. You can see a Cirque du Soleil show for that money. This is a small show in a bar. It's a good show. It deserves to be in a more proper showroom. And I think if it were in a proper room, if it were on the Strip, not off the Strip at the Virgin, there's no reason the Virgin doesn't deserve to have quality shows, but they need a quality showroom to go along with it. The hotel could invest some money, $1 million or more, and convert this space into a proper showroom. But that's neither here nor there. I'm getting off topic. If they discounted the prices a bit more, I'd be a lot more inclined to recommend this to you. With the utmost respect for the performers, the people behind this show, the very ambitious people who created the show, I'm giving this my 3.5 very good rating. It's a very good show. The room it is in is frankly terrible. I really like this show, and I hope that the people behind this show get themselves a better room, get a producer to get involved and get them on the strip. This could be a hit show that could run for many, many years. If you can afford it, go see it. But coming from a cost-conscious place where all of my reviews come from, I can't recommend it at this price, but it's certainly fun to watch if you are willing to pay the ticket prices. Tell me in the comments if you've seen the show. Do you think it's worth the prices they're charging? What do you think of the venue? What do you think of the Virgin Hotel and what's going on there these days? Thanks to my Patreon subscribers. Thank you for hitting that like button, and please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It would really help my channel. Thank you for watching. I'm Mike the Vegas Guy.